Hi, can you hear me? I hope so. Thanks for the introduction, Murat, and thanks for the invitation, especially to accept my online participation. Today I'm presenting you the work we do at my neurorobotics technology laboratory here in Denmark. The laboratory is at the Electrical and Photonics Engineering Department, 20 kilometers north from Copenhagen, so in Kongens Lyngby. And here we have different facilities, so not only labs, but also what it's called autonomous system test arena, where we try to reproduce some of the conditions, environmental conditions, where we can test our different robots, aerial, underwater robots, or manipulators, both rigid and soft robots. So today I will present some of the works that we do. Of course, the time is limited, but you are very welcome to ask me or to reach me out and to talk about what we do with all these different robots. And the mission of the lab is to benefit society by providing cutting-edge perception action control methods that we can integrate into neuromorphic technology for achieving autonomous, collaborative, and assistive robotics. So the mission is this, and the goal is to unravel the mechanisms of the human brain in order to help experts, such as clinicians, to understand more about diseases, the brain diseases. So try to accelerate the breakthroughs in medicine, but also for roboticists to find new computing technologies or revolutionary computing technologies to advance robotics, especially collaborative autonomous robotics. So having said that, at our lab, we have these two main research lines. The first one is building and reproducing the brain-like circuits in software or in neuromorphic hardware, and then to develop collaborative autonomous systems that apply these principles of neural computation in order to sense and act in real human environments. By embodying these brain-like circuits into these agents, we want to analyze and decode the development and growth of our systems. So I started here at the Technical University of Denmark in 2015, and before that, as Murat said, I did my PhD in Granada, and from 2016 I was part of the Human Brain Project, where and also I had also another Marie Curie project called Biomodular. And within this project, what me and my group achieved was the implementation of a modular spiking cerebellum that was embedded in a novel bio-inspired control architecture. So the main goal was not to build high-performance robotics directly, but rather systems that are able to adapt and learn from actual training towards improving their performance. So in this way, we make the robots more flexible and adaptable. So the main outcome of these two projects was different, distinct cerebellar microcircuits that could learn forward and inverse internal models of different robot bodies, such as humanoid robot or modular robots. For those of you who don't know what an internal model is, I can briefly explain this. So in 2008, Ito examined how a movement of a body part is controlled in the brain. And he stated that a feedback controller in the motor cortex generates a command that drives the body part. For example, if we talk about a robot, it can be a robot arm, accordingly to a desired instruction. And then this body part is captured into an internal model that is forward or inverse in the cerebellum in order to precisely perform the control of the robot arm, again, by referring to it. Of course, if we are not talking about a robot, we talk about limbs, no? So our arms or limbs. And then by continuing on this theory, it also explained that the microcircuit of the cerebellum that encodes these internal models are used so to control, as I said before, the body part. And this microcircuit is reproduced along with the full structure of the cerebellum. And there are multiple of these combined together to form what it said a unit learning machine. And in 2007, Paul Reel and Dean made a very nice work to explain how the learning speed and accuracy of this unit learning machine is improved by optimizing the choice of neural centers and bases of these neural centers at the granular level of the microcircuit of the cerebellum. So now I'm not going into details, but just briefly, I can say that this microcircuit is composed of different three main layers, let's say, and one of these is the granular cell. So by improving the choice of these centers, the performance is improved. So by relying on these theories, what I did was to utilize an algorithm called LWPR, or locally weighted projection rejection algorithm, that I could substitute into this microcircuit at the granular layers in order to reproduce the theory about optimization and improvement of the learning of the cerebellum. And by after doing this, then I said, okay, now I'm ready to build a control architecture, a bio-inspired control architecture, where I can get benefits of the unit learning machine to learn the internal models of the robot, in particular any robot, because this architecture can be applied, as I will show you in later in the experiments, to any robot. So in particular, the first architecture is called adaptive feedback error learning architecture, where the unit learning machine provides feed-forward corrections, and it's learning the inverse model of the robot, while the second architecture I built is called recurrent adaptive feedback error learning architecture, that is learning the forward model, and it provides so recurrent corrections in terms of sensory corrections. So before giving you the examples, I want also to talk about what are the main needs and challenges in our neurorobotics research. So there are two main research approaches. One is called exploration, and the other one is called exploitation. So in exploration, attempts to test new theories about the neural mechanisms responsible for specific behaviors in humans and general animals, while the exploitation focuses on the embodiment of cellular level models that reproduce the neural activity. Of course, these two approaches are not contradictory, but there are limitations, especially for realizing the cellular level models, because since they are computationally heavy, so we need more computational power for achieving real-time operation, and also we are lacking computationally efficient, biologically realistic neural models. And so this limitation makes the possibility of employing cellular models in the exploration theme more challenging. But there are many possibilities now, given the hardware, the neuromorphic hardware, such as the Loihi, for example, to overcome these gaps. And we are working towards this goal as well. So these two examples are showing the two experiments that we did by relying on functional AI. So where the cerebellum was not as biologically plausible as we would like, such as using spiking neural networks, but was an analog model of the cerebellum. But the goal was to test the theory about the learning of the forward and inverse internal model. And as you can see, so we used two very different robotic platforms here. One was the iCub humanoid robot, and one was a modular robot called Fable that we shaped in 4-leg configurations. So in both these examples, we wanted to test the adaptive capability of the cerebellum by learning these internal models to achieve coordinated, accurate movements and also make an online learning. But then we said, okay, this was in simulation, we tested the theory, then we wanted to embed these computational brain models into physical robots and show promising results for even more complexes, future more complexes environments for example, navigation and manipulations. So under changing scenarios and complex systems, the brain capabilities of online learners can be very beneficial because the brain can actually learn unknown dynamics, such as even the coupling terms of dynamical models of the robots. And the two works I'm showing here so relies on these cerebellar internal models and to ensure a more accurate, smoother, as you can see here, and faster tracking performance compared to traditional control methods. Another example is about sensory motor coordination. So here in this video, you can see a man performing crazy actions. So he's very well coordinated, and you may think that he have trained a lot. Yes, he has. But what maybe you are not thinking is that he has trained since he was born. And since we are born, so we deploy what is called motor bubbling, which is a random motion generation that covers the whole space and leads to the formation of sensory motor maps. So by relying on these sensory motor maps, humans can perform motion tasks in a very efficient way. And therefore, together with the robotics group in Hong Kong, we asked, can we replicate this into a robot? Yes, so we did that. We built a spiking neural network for approximating differential sensory motor maps of the universal robot arm. And the feedback data provided from proprioceptive and exteroceptive sensors, such as cameras, were encoded and fed into an input layer through this motor bubbling process. So in the experiments, we carried out a typical visual servoing task to show that the spiking neural network we developed was able to handling noisy sensory readings to get the robot arms movements in real time. And then based on this experience, as a continuation, we exploited the assumption that the cerebellum could use the internal forward model to provide anticipatory signals by learning from the error in sensory states. So what we did was to have the cerebellum learning the forward model, and we built this control architecture where the cerebellum is acting as a Smith predictor. So this Smith predictor is predicting sensory corrections and then we calculated the prediction error based on the actual sensing reading that we used to update the model itself. And then this output of the cerebellum is used to as an input to the differential mapping spiking neural network. So the cerebellum improves the servoing performance as the error decreases over time. And then we also said, okay, can we also use this knowledge and this control architecture to reproduce an experiment that is done by cerebellar ataxic patients? And we were able to do in the end to show that the spiking cerebellar model was indeed able to act to reduce the deviation from a target path. So this is an experiment called the radial reaching, where the robot, or imagine a patient with cerebellar ataxia, has to reach different point from a same central point, and the cerebellum was actually reducing the deviation from the target path and also the execution time. So in the lab we have many different open topics. Today I'm giving you two examples of among all of them. One is about human-robot interactions, and one is about the models of brain circuits for investigating healthy and unhealthy brain. So the first one, human-to-robot interaction, it's not what we are trying to do is not what you see in this picture, but having robots interacting nicely with the humans, being collaborative and kind with us. So in particular, in the lab we have a soft robot that was built by the Biorobotics Institute in Pisa. And Adria, my PhD student, is working with it toward making a control architecture, hybrid control architecture for achieving compliance during a human-robot interaction. Why compliance? Because compliance focuses on the ability of the robot to adapt to its environment and to respond to external forces or changes. But there are challenges when we try to use especially soft robots like this, because the high accuracy for the control of soft robots requires detailed analytical models that are difficult to obtain and generalize. And then also when there are drastic variation in the models of the soft robot dynamics, because of different conditions, then we need exhaustive dataset recording and continuous online adaptation. So in order to overcome these challenges, what we are trying to do is, first of all, try to start with a non-linear model-based control design that can give some stability and robustness requirements. So during this process, what we do is, first of all, we do some data gatherings. So we take the data, as well as I showed before, by using motor bubbling. And then we build a nonlinear model. So we fit the data into a differential equation describing the dynamics of the robot. And then we define a set of terms, for example, x dot, and so on. And then we find all the coefficients for those terms by using a system identification tool. In this case, it's called Cindy. And then we build a robust controller based on this model that is called a super twisting sliding model controller. And then the control, we have this control architecture that I'm going to explain briefly here. There's not so much time, and I need to rush, sorry for this. So we have two main blocks. One block is the super twisting sliding mode control that provides robust control against disturbances, and also provides a feed-forward term, a velocity command to cancel the known part of the dynamics. And the second block is the one having the task of finding and control actions that realize this velocity command. So we apply these control systems to by using a one single robot module, where the end effector has to follow this trajectory, and the performance was pretty good. But when we attached the second module, then we realized everything crashed. And this is because, yes, the model was very well fit with the data collected with one module, but still the controller was not able to, was struggling, struggling a lot with this new change. The new configuration. So what the first attempt we have made was to substitute the super sliding twisting mode controller with a learning controller. So if we substitute the super sliding controller with a learning controller, we can make it learn the mismatch with more precision, since the algorithm we are using, and by the way, we are using the same algorithm I showed you before, the locally weighted projection regression, can learn nonlinear functions. So the nonlinear controller was finding again to compensate the mismatch for a given instant, but the signal the signal that we are trying to model is not it was not a function of the current states and actions. So that's why the learning controller is now, as you can see here, working better when we attach the second module. Of course, there is still margin to improve. For example, there are delays that have not been modeled. So now we are in the next step. It will be to substitute even the inversion part, this part of the control architecture, with a learned model that can account for delays, and also use a more bio-inspired architecture. So, for example, making the control architecture I showed you before, the Smith controller, also for this case with the cerebellum, then, in order to even get better performances. The last example I want to show you is about Parkinson's disease. And what we are trying to do is overcome some of the challenges about the investigation of disease, which are measuring neural circuit degeneration, building early diagnostic tools, and providing an objective symptom classification. And the solution that we have in mind is multiple. Of course, we need to start from modeling the brain, both for example, in software, but also in silico, and because these models provide test beds for repeated and controlled research. And then we are also building neuromusculoskeletal models and AI-based solutions for digital biomarkers identification, and then provide standardized protocols for data collection. Today, I'm just showing you a computational model that we have built as an initial step for example, revealing the problem of freezing a gait, which is the arrest of movement, as you can see in the video, and difficulty initiating the movement. So we have built a neural architecture that can be used to understand how to alleviate contractions during motor impairments in Parkinson's disease. First of all, I introduce what is a central pattern generator for those of you who don't know yet. In the spinal cord, there are rhythm generating circuits that are called central pattern generators, and they are very special because they can produce oscillatory output in the absence of rhythmic input. And this video shown an experiment where very first experiments in 1911 on the cerebrated cats, and even if the cat was decerebrated, so the spinal cord and the nerves from the hind limb muscles were cut, it was still able to walk. So this first experiment shown the existence of these central pattern generators. And normally, the common architecture suggested for the central pattern generator is a half-center oscillator, pictured here. And it consists of two populations of neurons mutually inhibiting each other. So this means that when one starts spiking, the other is inhibited, and vice versa. So this creates an antiphasic output as portrayed in this plot, which leads itself well to controlling an antagonistic muscle pair, for example, biceps or triceps. How much time do I have left? Don't know. Okay, so I will just close it quickly. So what we did was to implement a very biologically plausible neural network based on these concepts. So a spiking neural network model, based on some findings from Professor Runesberg's lab here in Copenhagen University. And as you can see here, it's a huge spiking neural networks that is involving what is called rhythm generators, so half center oscillators, and together with inhibitory populations, excitatory populations, and motor neuron population, which outputs can be connected to musculoskeletal models that we are building to reproduce the freezing of gait, for example. And since we are studying Parkinson's, so we have also developed dopamine modulation, and we have studied the both positively and negatively correlated modulations. And also we have started studying the effect of gap junctions, because we want to see the influence of membrane potential between neurons without spiking. And we hope that actually you can find this publication very soon available online. And another one is under review about the gap junctions. So we hope to find a way to explain one of the root causes of Parkinson's disease. And then you can also read this paper that talks about how to combine machine learning together with computational modeling for building tools for testing diseases, and not only. And then, of course, we are open for collaboration, because I mean, achieving embodying intelligence, artificial AI means building all together all these different blocks, that we need collaboration from different labs. And thanks to all my collaborators so far, and funding agencies, and thanks to you for listening. And yeah, if there is time for questions, thanks.